It's always so much fun talking, right?
Yeah, whether there's somebody listening or not.
Yeah, they could probably hear us talking. So
Oh,
watch
I
what
wonder.
watch what you
Okay,
say.
all right. No, 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 no. That I didn't mean any of that.
Hi, everybody. Here we are coming at you live from Tokyo, Japan, where the
Woohoo.
weather is getting windy, getting ready for those cherry blossoms to bloom in another week or two. And oh, I got to watch what I'm doing. I tend to, I've got a chair with arms, and I tend to lean on one side, which is not a good idea. But anyway, I'm here with my good friend and co-host Karl, and we're going to be talking about what's going on in Japan. Is that right, Karl?
That's right. So, in my little neck of the woods, as I was telling you earlier, I got a shingles shot, and
Oh,
so this is. I learned later from I've switched from ChatGPT to Gemini. It says it's called Shingrix, Shingrix the Terrible. So apparently, it sometimes causes quite a strong reaction. Like people have, like 102 fever and stuff like that. Fortunately,
mhm.
I didn't have any of that, so I survived.
I wonder why
And
they call. I wonder why they call
yeah,
it shingles.
because shingles are things like on a house, I have no idea. It's the
Yeah,
same. It's the same virus that causes chicken pox. And I'm not sure if there's an issue where like, but I'm so I think adults have to worry about shingles and kids worry about chicken pox. Although I guess now everybody has a vaccine. So when
yeah.
when I was a kid, I don't think there was a vaccine for chicken pox. I got chicken pox. I've heard that there were like chicken pox parties where it's like so like if you didn't get chicken pox until you were older, then that was like a big deal. Like that was really serious. Um, but like if you got it as a kid, then you got it and you got over it. Did you ever go to one of those chicken pox parties, or did you hear about them?
No, but I remember we as a kid, when I was a kid, we got everything. We had chicken pox, we had measles, we had mumps. About the
Hmm.
only inoculation, the vaccine that was the only one that was going on was polio. Everybody was
Uh,
we had to get the needle shot for a number of years, and then after that they put it on sugar or something like that. So
okay.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I if I got anything for, I mean, I don't know what the rules are for like polio vaccines these days. If people get them, or if like polio's just gone,
No, I don't know.
and yeah, so okay.
Yeah. Yeah, shingles. The only thing I think about shingles, the people who have been in the military will know. We used to
Oh,
have food, SOS.
on a shingle.
Yeah, something on a shingle, right?
Does that just mean like crappy army food, or does it mean something in particular?
It means chipped cream beef on toast. So
Mm,
they would take, it was like a canned beef and chip it
hmm.
into and they put it in a creamy sauce and put a piece of toast and pour that gunk all over it, and that was your SOS, right?
Kind of like a stew version of corned beef or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Okay. It
exactly.
actually sounds like it tastes pretty good, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
not like
I
something you would serve in, a fine dining establishment.
Well, I liked it, especially when you're young. You know when you're young, you're on a seafood diet. You ever hear the seafood
Yes.
diet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, sure.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look. We got some greetings here. Some early
Dan's got a great one
comers.
for you.
Yeah. Hi, Dan. How you doing? I had syphilis when I was 8 years. ah, that's funny.
That
Dan,
explains a lot, right?
yeah, explains a lot. Doesn't syphilis affect your brain or something? I don't know.
Uh,
Do you know?
yeah.
Do you know? I don't know if it's the clinical name. Probably not, because it sounds too good. But for the gonorrhea, do you know that
Hmm.
gonorrhea? One of the names of gonorrhea, at least in Japanese, is rimbyo, and the kanji for
Hmm.
that evidently is lonely disease. Isn't that interesting?
Oh yeah, samishi, samishi. Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's
okay.
there's uh there's the regular samishi, and then there's another samishi that you would see
Yeah.
like in karaoke, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm just trying to think. If you're really lonely, you can't get gonorrhea, can you? I
maybe,
guess
maybe.
maybe you get lonely after you get it,
Yeah,
right?
after you get it, I think,
Okay.
unless
All right.
you're one of those cads, that wants to go out and spread it around. Kelvin, hey Kelvin. I always like to see Kelvin because he's tuning in from Alabama, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's good to see you, Kelvin. Thanks for
All right.
coming. Kelvin,
Yeah.
Kelvin and I go. I always say this: we go way back, and we've never met. So, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, we got a person here, BP Shogun. The virus is called varicella herpes zoster.
This is the shingles one. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it, right? But I still don't know about this shingles. I wonder where shingles came from. Okay. And okay. Kelvin Mitchell said Dan started early. Yeah, not as early as you there in Alabama. No, yeah. Okay, 8 years old. What were you doing there, Dan? Okay. And okay, Kelvin says hello again. Okay. So as I said, it's starting to get, it's in that really kind of split personality weather that we've been having in Tokyo.
Yeah.
One day, the other day it says, "Oh, it's going to be really warm out," so I thought I'd go out and try to record something outside, but the wind was so strong that it just killed my audio, so I had to give that up. But do you like this season very much there?
Yeah. It's so when I was a kid growing up in Europe, actually. So I remember I lived in Belgium and for a few years, and we would get 30 degrees one day a year. And for me, it's like it doesn't cut it. It's not like summer enough for summer. I'm sure it's
Mm,
warmer now, but
mm.
like in Tokyo, it's like upper 30s for like half the summer.
Yeah,
So I much prefer 15 than upper 30s
yeah,
or 5. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
I guess you could add a couple of degrees, but it's pretty nice. Because you
yeah,
can adjust, right? Where if
yeah,
it's
right.
38, all you could do is jump in the lake, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the good thing about cold. You could always throw another log on the fire or put on
Hmm.
another jacket or something. But hot, you're limited unless you get that air con going.
But actually, so I mean, people still have to work outside, and apparently, these jackets that have fans in them, those are apparently quite effective.
Oh,
I don't
really?
have one. I have never used one, and I wouldn't want to be in a situation where like I had to use it because I was working outside on a construction site in 38 degrees Celsius, like 100 degrees. But apparently, they work quite well.
Yeah, okay. Might check that out because we got to go out sometimes. All right, Kelvin, talking about shingles again. Shingles is super painful. Is that when you get it? Is that the one that gives you the yeah, okay? And the Japanese says doesn't the Japanese name for shingles say
So
something?
it's called Taijo Hoshin.
Uh-huh.
And that is it's like belt shaped uh, rash with pus is
Yep,
basically
that's
what the
that.
translation is.
Yeah, it's a very descriptive name, right? Yeah,
Yes, and
yeah.
and I've talked to people who've had it, and they said it's pretty nasty. So and it
One
takes like a year to get over it, and maybe
one
some people never get over it completely.
when I was living in Tochigi, I one time had something, and it's itchy, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Hey, man, that's Taijo Hoshin," and he says,
Okay.
"Boy, it looks like it's painful," and I didn't have any pain at all, and he
Hmm.
gave me some maybe, my wife tells me I'm too dongkan to feel anything, but
Hmm.
he gave me some medicine. I took the medicine, and it disappeared. So, but I've heard that it can be really really bad and stick with
So
you for a long time.
did you ever get the vaccine?
Not that I remember. Not that I
Because
remember.
they in Japan, if you're over 65, they'll give you money to. I mean, they won't like you won't net any money, but they'll pay for it, or they'll pay for
Uh,
part of it. And
yeah.
then for people over 50, they say you can have it if you want, but you have to pay for it.
Okay.
So
I might have, but just don't remember.
yeah.
Okay, David Cole. Hey, David, one of our regulars. Watching the game, Japan North Korea game on Netflix along with you guys. Otani just hit a homer to tie up the game 3-3. There's that Otani.
Did
Didn't he?
did you hear about the Taiwan game? There was like they called it because it was too lopsided, and Otani. I don't think he hit for the cycle, but he hit a single, double, home run. It was like 10-0 already in the second inning. So,
Didn't he hit a grand slam or something
oh
like
yeah,
that?
yeah. His
Yeah.
second at bat, he hit a grand slam. So,
What a guy, huh? What a guy.
yeah,
He's like
on
a
fire.
unhuman. And one thing I like about him, and I liked it about Ichiro, and I liked it about Nomo as well. They're
Hmm.
such gentlemen. They're such
Hmm.
good representatives of their country. Some Japanese players are not. You know, who was that guy who used to play together with Ichiro for a while in
Seattle, New
Seattle?
York. Hmm.
He was a relief pitcher.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. He was known to be not a very good person. Maybe somebody will come in here, right? Okay. So keep us posted, David Cole. We all know that Japan and Korea like to
He,
have a
he, he
nice.
said Japan's leading now. So,
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
yep.
Just took the lead. Thank you. Kelvin Mitchell, yes, it actually is the nerve conduits called dermatomes on the top layer of the skins, and pardon the grossness, but it scabs over like shingles on a roof. Okay, then I can see where that came from.
Yeah.
I've never had it that bad, but I had a like a pink rash around me, but it never scabbed up or anything like that. And David Cole says shingles is dormant chicken pox that appears when stressed. Yeah, I've heard that stress has a lot to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Japan took the lead. And in Tokyo, I was in the hospital for 5 days on the right side of my face. Oh, that must have been gross, huh? Having shingles on the right side. That's shingles, right? That's not syphilis. Uh,
So,
but
so I guess I'm like an ad for. I mean, I can't tell you what the efficacy is, but apparently this vaccine that I got, unfortunately, you have to get it twice with like a couple of months in between. But apparently, it reduces the incidence by like 95%.
oh, really?
And
Okay.
it also lasts like 5-10 years. So, in
Uh,
fact, they say there's no recommended second, like you never need a booster, but it's
uh,
relatively new. So it's
uh.
possible that, 10 years from now, they'll say, oh, yeah, after 10 years, she should get a booster. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay. Okay. Dan reports on his. He says it wasn't painful, just itchy. Sure looked gross though. I bet you it would. I bet you that would be a lonely disease. Yeah. Okay. All right. We got a couple of news stories. Which one do you want to do first? Do you have any preferences there? Oh, I know which one you would like to do first there. The
uh-huh.
driver's license. We were talking about driver's licenses.
Yeah.
So let's go to that one. Let me get us out of the way here. Oh, that doesn't look for. Oh, I got to get rid of Dan there. Uh-oh. Okay. So Japan recently changed its driver's license laws, and for good reason, if you ask me. Nobody did, but I'll say it anyway. But anyway, it says that with the new restrictions or rules, the pass rate of driver's license conversion test drops after Japan changed its
Do they have
rules.
the numbers there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay. And first of all, how they did it. Well, why? Let's talk a little bit why they did it. Do you know why they did it, Karl? I'll let you go ahead and take that if you'd like to.
Well, I assumed that there were like a higher incidence of accidents. Um,
No, no. I mean,
so
why? What was the? Do you know what the rules were? Oh, okay. Instead of going through instead of doing a quiz, I'll tell you what I've got in mind.
sure. Yeah.
In Japan, in the past, it was very easy to convert your driver's license. The test was easy. I don't think there was even a driver's test. And Japan became known as a place where you can go and easily get a driver's license. And what happened was, for example, in China or in other countries, I think I read Korea, but I'm not sure. But in a lot of Asian countries, it's difficult to get an international driver's license. So people would come to Japan, easily get a Japanese license, and then use their Japanese license to get an international driver's license so they can drive anywhere. And Japan was known as a driver's license mill and an international driver's license mill. And so a lot of people were coming to Japan just to get a driver's license. And then, as Karl just said, there started to be more accidents and infractions by all those damn gaijin and their Japanese driver's license. So they decided to crack down. They expanded the number of questions in the written traffic knowledge test from 10 questions to 50. So they increased it by 5 times. And an applicant must answer at least 90% of these 50 questions correctly. So that would mean 40 out of 50, if my math wizardry serves me correctly. And examiners now check to see if test takers give priority to pedestrians at crosswalks and that they understand the safety rules at railway crossings. And as a result, the pass rate of the knowledge test fell from 93% in 2024 to 43% in October-December period 2025. And the pass rate for the driving test fell from 30% to 13%. Now, under the new rules, foreign tourists and other short-stay visitors are no longer eligible to convert their home country licenses into Japanese licenses. And I think, Karl, you said you had some experience about this. Would you like to?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, when I first came to Japan, I came to live here. So, but I want to just double check. So you're telling me that people come to Japan on vacation and they get a Japanese license while they're on vacation?
Yes, many people did.
That sounds crazy.
Oh, and that was another one of the rule changes that's not in this story, but I saw it in another story. In the past, you know, when you did a driver's license, they would send you the driver's license in the mail. In the past, they accepted a hotel address as the sending destination of your driver's license. And now they won't accept the hotel address as a place to send a driver's license.
So okay, so I have a driver's license, and every 3 to 5 years it expires, so I have to go renew it. And when I renew it, I go to the prefectural driving center, and no, that's not true. So it depends on if you've had an infraction or not. If you don't, and maybe I'm getting off the topic a little bit here, but if you're a really good driver, you can go to your local police station and they go, "Oh, you're such a good boy. You can have another driver's license, and we won't impose any inconvenience on you, making you go all the way across the prefecture to this driving place." But if you go to if you, let's say you made a right turn, or maybe you went through a red light or something like that, and then you got dinged. Now you have to go to listen to some lecture. But in my most recent experience, they gave me my driver's license after I listened to them, talk all day long about how to avoid accidents, and reminded me of the rules that people tend to forget. But are you saying that when you apply for your first driver's license, they don't give it to you there, they send it to you? I mean, that could be maybe in the past, but I would think now.
That was the impression that I got reading the article that I read. I used to have a driver's license, but since I moved back to Tokyo, I gave it up.
Okay.
And, there are too many, there, as you can go anywhere by train. Cars are convenient, yes. But they cost a lot of money to upkeep, right?
So let me go back and tell you my story. So I was 23 years old. And I had read, or I had heard correctly, that the typical procedure for, so I was an American, I'd been driving since I was 16, so for 7 years at that point. So I was a young driver, I wasn't like a new driver. And so I brought my American license. Before I left the States, I went to AAA and got an international license, which all you have to do is pay $10. And then coming to Japan, you get an official translation from JAF, like Japan Automotive Federation or something like that. And so you're supposed to bring this was, again, in the 90s, your home country license, your international license, and the translation of your license, and pay a fee. And at that time, there was no driving test, there was no written test. Just bring the documentations, you're good. And in Japan, you drive on the left. In the States, you drive on the right. So, like, if I was making the system, I would say, well, that's kind of amai. That's like, you're going to put me. I guess the fact that I can drive with an international driver's license without passing any tests, I guess it's on me to learn the rules of the road, but it's kind of, it's not a very strict way to make sure that I'm safe. But that was the system. It's not for me to change the system. But actually, as it turned out, when I got there, I brought the young assistant from the school that I was teaching at. And the guy's like, you look pretty young. So tell me about the driving test that you took. How many questions were on it? What did you have to do? And I'm like, I've been driving for 7 years. Like I was thinking to myself, I've been driving for 7 years. Why does it matter what the test was like, 7 years ago? Anyway, make a long story shorter, he said, go to one of these driving schools, practice for an hour, bring me the receipt, and then I'll give you your license. But so I didn't actually have to take a test, but I had to sit next to a guy at one of these driving schools. I probably paid like 5,000 yen or something like that, and did some practice, and then I got my driver's license. I guess I would say that it doesn't mean that I knew all of the laws. Like for example, you talked about railroad crossings. I think in the States, the guideline is make sure that you're going fast enough so that if your car stalls, you can make it across the tracks. Whereas in Japan is you must stop completely no matter what. Hopefully that's correct. That's what I do. So what do you think about this? So I guess, and then I think, so now it's this, but there was a time where people from countries where you drive on the left, like in Japan, they didn't have to do a driving test, but people from countries like the United States where you drove on the right, you did have to do a driver's test. But I got my license so long ago that I didn't have to worry about that.
Mine was, I've had an experience which is so wild and unique and non-standard that I'd like to tell you about it. I'm from Illinois, and I had an Illinois driver's license. And when I was first living in Tokyo, I didn't drive anywhere, but I used public transportation. And so, like in the late 70s, my parents were going to come to visit me in Japan. So I said to my wife, "Wow, my parents are going to come. I think I better I need to get a driver's license somehow." So I can rent a car and take them around and stuff like that. So I checked with the Japanese driver's license bureau, and they said, well, if you have an American license, it's pretty easy. But if you don't, you have to go through the whole Japanese thing,
sure.
Right? Yep. So I thought, oh, damn, what am I going to do? So I wrote a letter back in the days when we wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to the Illinois Secretary of State explaining my dilemma. And they wrote back and they said, oh, okay, we have your driver's license on record here, but you have to take a test in order to renew it since you allowed it to expire. So it said, if there is a U.S. military base nearby who will administer the test, we'll give you a license. So I called up the nearest American base and I explained my
Hmm.
situation
Hmm.
to the public safety people. And this was way back before 9/11 and any kind
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
crazy terrorist stuff. So they said, "Sure, why not?" Have them send it to me, and they gave me an address, and I sent that to the Secretary of State of Illinois, and they sent the test materials to the guy on the base. And I made an appointment. I went there. We drove around the base, and he says, "Yeah, you seem to be all right." He gave me a passing grade. I had to do a written test too, but it was very simple. And he packed it up and sent it back to the Secretary of the State. And a short while later, I got a license in the mail. And I took
Hmm.
that license to the Japanese driving license place. And they said, "Okay, fill out this form." And they gave me a Japanese license. No
That
test, no nothing.
it sounds like a big rigmarole, but it also sounds like it's easier than doing the whole thing in
Then,
Japanese.
yeah, it was very easy. I mean, since I had an expired license, taking that into consideration, it was extremely easy. As were a lot of things before the what globalism made the world globalistically a bit crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we've got some. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say about the comments. Yeah, go for it.
Ah, okay, okay. We're thinking in the same. All right. Japan leads 5-3 after back-to-back home runs. Thank you, David Cole. No infractions. You get a 5-year gold benkyo at the local police station. But if you had an infraction, you get a 3-year license and have to go to the regional license center.
Yeah,
Okay, that gold
that's
license.
that's my experience too.
Uh-huh. Do you have a gold license?
I have had a gold.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if it's current. I have to check, but I'm not going to check right
Yeah,
now. But
it's hard to maintain, isn't it? Yeah.
well, you just make sure that you don't do things like turn where you're not supposed to. I think even getting a parking. So, like in the States, we have moving violations and non-moving violations. But I think in Japan, maybe because space is at such a premium, parking. Like if you have a bunch of parking violations, that can add up, and you can get your license taken away. As far as I know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not in that case,
yeah.
uh, but parking is more serious in Japan than it is in the
Yep,
States.
yep, yep. David Cole says in Saitama it's Konosu, and in Tokyo it's Musashi Kogane I guess for the license
For the
center.
regional, yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
drive.
There's a real big one out in the Musashi Kogane area, gigantic one out there.
Yeah.
And wait till you get to the age 70. Then you will have to attend elderly driving class and take a special peripheral vision test and driving test. At 75, you also have to take the Alzheimer's test. And that, in a nutshell, is why I gave up my license. I said, I'm not going to go 2, 3 times just to get a driver's
Mhm.
license that I hardly ever use. So I just said, I don't need it. But this is true. You have to take all
My,
these.
my guess is this is a reaction to, like there were some in Ikebukuro like several years ago. It's like I think an aged doctor just plowed into a bunch of people, and it wasn't like the Akihabara one where the guy was doing it intentionally. I think this guy was like, "Oh no, that I pushed the
Yeah,
brake. It's the car's fault."
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so.
That happened in Fukuoka too. An oldster just suddenly, I don't, I tried to press the brake. It's kind of hard to believe,
Mhm.
but was jamming the accelerator, went down the street, and came to a dead end where there was like a 7-Eleven or a Lawson, and drove into there, killed a bunch of people. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty serious thing, especially here as people get older. At 70, you still get a 5-year license, but 75 onward, you can only get a 3-year license, which is probably good. The Alzheimer's test is probably good because some people have that problem. Okay. In Okinawa, you need a driver's license. We have no trains and nobody uses the buses. Yes, there you go. The only railroad crossings are at the driving test center. Yeah, there you
That's
good.
funny.
Yeah, and also not only in Okinawa, but Fukuoka has trains, but I think if you're kind of hard pressed if you don't have a car in Fukuoka. Same thing out in Tochigi, where I used to live. There were some people who became too old to drive, and so they used to have volunteers who would take them shopping and things like that,
Hmm.
because it's almost impossible to live without a car. How about in Hiroshima when you were down there?
Uh, well, if you were in the wards of Hiroshima, well, actually, so I think after Koizumi, like the city expanded so that the places that you wouldn't really think of as a city were considered the city. But anyway, in the downtown area, they had a nice Romen Deisha. What's that? Like a tram line,
Uh-huh.
as well as
Uh-huh.
I think the tram lines were the most convenient, and they had buses as well. So if you didn't want to have a car, you could probably get around. But if you actually, when I lived in Chicago, I felt the same thing. Like if you just want to go around downtown, no problem. But if you ever want to go out to the suburbs, you need a car. And I would
Yeah.
say the same thing is probably mostly true in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's about the same now, but I don't. My experience is from many years ago.
Okay. Got some baseball news from David Cole. Korea strikes back. Japan up 5-4. Then, oh no, it's tied 5-5. Wow. Quite a battle, huh? Korea does not go down easily. Whoa, that's a tough
Yeah.
country. Okay. David Cole, yes, it's 3 years even if you have a gold license as an oldster.
Mm.
Okay. That's I just didn't want to go through the hassle. And like I said, plus the insurance and all that, plus the fact that I can, when you do get older, and I am an older guy, you start noticing your reaction time slows down. And my, as for me, I been doing music for a long time. My
Hmm.
ears ain't what they used to be, and so that's a kind of dangerous situation too. BP Shogun. I did the whole thing in Japanese. Crazy process. 5 steps, written exams and driving tests. Wow. Go
Does
ahead.
that mean he did the whole like he went to driving school in Japanese, or does that mean he just took the all the tests in Japanese?
Let's
I'm
see. Let's see
curious.
what he says. Yeah, I'm curious too because I know the driving school route can be pretty expensive, right?
The old so they used to penalize you for getting your driver's license, like waiting to get your driver's license. So the story I heard, and obviously I got mine by converting my American license, but you would take your age and multiply by ichimayen, and that's like the total amount that you would expect to pay. So if you got it right when you were 18, then you could probably get away with about 180,000 yen. But if you waited till you were like 40, they would like make you do it over and over and over and over again, and you would end up having to pay a lot more. So the moral of the story was get your driver's license early while they're still easy on
A long while ago, my wife decided, oh, I should get a license. And, she went to a driving school for a while. But back when she decided to get a license, they didn't allow you to take the test in an automatic. You had to take a test in the manual.
you.
And so she, you know, I mean, this is not to say a negative thing about her, but she's a typical housewife,
Hmm.
and she just couldn't get that coordination. It was doing the old whoa, 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 whoa. And the teacher would get excited, and that put her off driving. Even when they shifted over to automatics, I told her, go and get a license. They're in, and she just wouldn't do it because of that bad experience that she had.
They, they probably made her like start on an incline with a manual, and then like
Yeah, yeah,
not hit the car behind you as you
yeah,
ease off the brake or the whatever. It's been a while for me, but
yeah, yeah,
it's a delicate thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I seem to be one of the first foreigners to get a Japanese license in my area many years ago. Ehime for you. Yeah, Ehime in Shikoku down there. I take it was down there. I saw a YouTube video just recently talking about the way things are in Shikoku and about how how it developed much more slowly than other parts of Japan. It was really interesting. And when I say developed much more slowly, again, I don't mean that in a negative way, but there were actual reasons for it. It had to do with weather and all kinds of other things. So uh, that was really interesting. When I went down there too, I felt that Ehime was like stepping back a couple of years when compared to like Tokyo. So our
So I've been to Shikoku a few times, and if I remember correctly, a lot of the train lines there's just one track. So like
yeah,
if a train's coming the other way, you have to wait for the train to go
yeah,
by.
yeah,
And so so I would imagine that in Shikoku, if you don't have a car,
yeah,
it's the inconvenience is on a whole other level.
yeah, yeah. Okay, RB says you only lose a gold status if you have a moving infraction and get two or more points. Okay.
Okay.
Then my license is now part of my number card. I liked my gold card. Yeah, the gold card looks good. Very status, right? And my wife has a new car with all the latest safety devices. I'll have a new car in a couple of months. Way to go! The latest safety devices seem to be pretty cool, huh? I saw a video just before this live stream. Somebody had a self-driving car, and
Maybe a
it
Tesla.
I don't know what kind it was. It was just I just saw it for a few seconds when I was
Hmm.
looking for something else, and they were sitting there talking, and they're saying, "Yeah, here we are," and it was a red light, and the light turned green, and the car started moving all on its own. It was really, really, really eerie.
So
Okay, but
Tesla's had that in the States for years, and it's
mhm.
always controversial. Everything about Tesla is always controversial. But I think in Japan, so I saw the same. Maybe I saw the same video. Apparently, they're going to try to get approval by the end of the year to have it. You have to supervise it, but yeah, it sees the traffic, it sees the pedestrians, and
Yeah,
hopefully it obeys the rules and everything.
yeah. Okay. Oh, let me get us to our regular view here. That's better. So
Sure.
somebody, David Cole, ask Ehime for you. What kind of car did she get? Okay, if you want to answer that. And if you have a Japanese driver's license, it will turn gold in 5 years, even if you don't drive. Yeah, I know.
The paper driver, right?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say I knew plenty of paper drivers who have gold licenses because they never drive. Okay.
So sometimes gold doesn't mean you're a good driver. It means you don't drive.
Yeah, yeah. When I was 16, I took the Japanese motorcycle test. 100 questions in bad English. Had to get 90% to pass. I got a 91%. Most of my classmates had to take the test several times. Yeah, I heard that the motorcycle test was pretty tough and hard to pass.
I remember. So to me, the American car driver's test is kind of a joke. And I remember one question in particular that I tell my Japanese friends, and they can't believe it's true. So the question was something along the lines of, if you have to drive after you've been drinking, which should you do? One, take a cold shower. Two, drink black coffee. Three, eat some bread. So you had a driver's license in America. What's the answer?
I don't know.
I reject the premise of the question.
Ah,
So like,
there
no,
you
no,
go.
no. So the correct answer is apparently eating the bread because that soaks up the alcohol, and the caffeine and the cold shower aren't going to do it for you. But I mean, uh, if the Japanese person saw that, it's like, what the hell kind of question is this?
That sounds like an old wives' tale almost, right?
That was the question on my test.
Here, I'll tell you about the way it was back in America. Here's an old guy
Hmm.
story about America. When I got my driver's license, I was a teenager, and I had done some practice with my father or something. I had a learner's permit for a while, so I went to take my test, and of course, I was nervous, and that, and we went to take the driving test on the course, and we went around, and this old, and I was from a suburb of Chicago called Oak Lawn,
Hmm.
And I finished the test, and the guy said, "Well," he says, "you didn't do too good." He says, "You made a lot of mistakes." And he says, "But you look like a good Polish boy to me." And so I know a lot of the cops out in Oak Lawn, so they'll be keeping an eye on you. So I'll let you have your license. It was one of these, you don't deserve it, but I'll give it to you. And I'll never forget it because, I was sitting there, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
しょうがないな.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
So, Ehime, for you, when I got my Japanese license, there was a group of 5 of us doing the driving course. I was the only one that passed. The other 4 Japanese failed. I wonder why that is. Okay.
They could charge him for the exam fee again.
So I passed the motorcycle test on my 4th try. I heard multiple tries were pretty common for the motorcycle test. BP Shogun. I had a Japanese driver's license that I converted from my Mexican license. Then it expired, so I had to start the whole process from scratch. I didn't go to driving school, just went to Fuchu Center. Okay. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. We said Kogane, but the Fuchu Center. I've been there a couple of times way back when you had to go to the center for that business. RB Rich says, when I took my test, there were 20 people in our group. All failed the first time. After we had taken the test 3 times, everybody passed at once. The police seemed to have met their quota. Yeah, I think I used to hear that failure was atarimae.
Yeah.
Everybody failed, right? Okay. Ehime for you comes back and says, I also have a friend that failed just just just
But a
okay.
Suzuki Spacia.
Space okay, about 1.7 million yen. Order the car through a mechanic, then there are no extra dealer add-ons. Okay, good to know. Okay, good. So let that sort of like does driver's licenses. We talked that one to death. One that I want to talk about because I want to hear about how the other gaijins feel about this particular story, and that is hay fever. Okay, because this is a issue that we hear a lot about in Japan. And it says in this story that the economic loss from hay fever in Japan is estimated at $1.6 billion per day. And this is according to some kind of a study done by Panasonic Corporation. And they talked to a bunch of people. People said this. They did some math, and they came up with this money, $1.6 billion a day. And according to this article, hay fever, now affecting 1 in 2 people in Japan, I guess that's half, is referred to as a national disease. And it has a significant impact on the labor force. Some companies have started initiatives to support employees suffering from hay fever, and they recognize that their decline in work performance due to hay fever is a crisis that they are feeling. So, do you guys have hay fever? And so I'm interested in this because I don't. And I'm wondering, is it a Japanese thing only? Or is it everybody has this problem? Or anybody want to start this out? Karl, what do you think?
So I don't have hay fever. So I feel sorry for the people who do. I know some people like this every year. It's like, uh, they got so I guess you can go to the doctor, you can get like antihistamines and stuff like that. I think a lot of people now wearing masks and then especially like goggles, like with like these rims around here. And I've seen people wearing those these days too. I've heard that like post-war construction, they planted a bunch of sugi, so Japanese cedar trees, and these cedar trees suddenly, I mean, I guess they do what cedar trees do, and they made a lot of pollen. So, uh, you know, prior to that, there weren't a lot of people who had hay fever, and then after that, there were. I guess some people have allergies to different kinds of pollen, so it's like, oh, I'm cedar, but somebody else might say I'm hinoki or whatever. Um, and I guess the bottom line for me is I'm glad I don't have it, and I feel sorry for the people who do. And I I'm curious to know how people manage.
According to my wife, who is always is correct 9 times out of 10 and never admits that
Mhm.
one, um, it's all MacArthur's fault.
Oh, I
that
haven't heard this angle yet.
and I've heard. I actually I read this one time that as you said, post-war Japan had a rather mixed mixture of different kind of trees and woods and
Hmm.
forests, that they were encouraged to replant, to cut away and cut down and replant with cedar, because cedar grows quickly and it produced wood, which produced
The
income for
lumber
Japan,
for construction,
lumber,
sure, yeah.
and they could export it and things like that. And so they were encouraged to do so. And I think that the article I read did say that the American occupation forces did encourage Japan to do so. And
Mm.
when I was out in Tochigi, where there is a lot of cedar forest out there, you could, during the pollen season, you could actually see the pollen, like a cloud of pollen
Hmm.
coming off of the
Hmm.
trees, and it would actually form a layer like on cars and outside things. So it is serious. But like I said, I don't. Sometimes I'll get a cough, and I'll think,
Hmm.
oh, I'm catching cold. And I'll go to the doctor, and they'll say, no, that's a kafun, and give me some kind
Okay,
of a medicine. So I
it's a
guess I do have,
coffin.
yeah, I guess I do have something, but it doesn't, not like Japanese people have.
And obviously, Japanese people, they dry their laundry outside, and so a lot of times now it's like covered in pollen, so
Good point.
uh,
Good point.
causes
Mm.
issues for housewives.
Aime for you says, yeah, hay fever just started now. It's not as bad as I have aged. Shikoku, we have hay fever, and worst, yellow sand from China. Yeah, when I was in Fukuoka, yellow sand was a big problem during the season when it came over. I mean, it would give you a sore throat. It was so bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Kafun Show, bad this year. Sugi and Hinoki. Yeah, I remember hearing about Hinoki too. And maybe I meant the cedar trees, it said Rich. And I take medication morning and evening. Yeah, the poor people who have this have to take medication. Unfortunately, some of it is even steroid medication. And then, this, should I take it? Shouldn't I take it? That's the story I heard from my wife, Japanese too. I haven't heard it about MacArthur being to blame and this Genzaemon. Actually, MacArthur being the blame is whenever the occupation forces or the Americans suggested or put gaiatsu on Japanese
Mhm.
to do anything. According to my wife, it was MacArthur personally who did it, and damn his
the,
soul or something like
the
that.
buck stops here. He's even if he didn't do it personally, he's the guy in
Yeah,
charge.
yeah, yeah. And by extension, I get some of the blame too, by the way. So,
He was your boss, right?
yeah, I mean, I wasn't here back then. Yeah. There's another thing, since we're talking about this Japanese, whether it's a Japanese thing. One thing that comes to mind when talking about this kind of malady that affects mostly Japanese, that doesn't affect me, is back pain, neck pain, uh,
Katakori, you mean?
yeah, this kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and putting on the salon pass and things like that. Do you have that kind of a problem?
I have a sore back. And I mean, I had an MRI, and you could see my. So there's Si Kanban. So there's the famous one everybody knows, Si Kanban hernia. So hernia means the I guess the discs have come out. That's not my case, but the discs are supposed to be like jelly donuts, and as you get older, they become dry, and the jelly can get squished out. So uh, it's supposed to be jelly donut, but in my case, it's zabuton. So
Oh.
I have flattened discs, and so I'm doing some rehab for that. Um, but so you don't have katakori or anything like that?
No hay fever,
Wow.
no katakori. I'll tell you something, and I have people look at me funny when I say this. I don't get headaches either.
Well, I think katakori and headaches can be related.
Yeah, I think so
Maybe not
too.
all of them, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah. Wow, lucky you.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
I've been blessed. My mother and father, I think I mentioned this before, both lived until 95 plus. So you don't have to
okay.
worry about the live stream or or YouTube channel going anywhere soon. You know.
So we're gonna have to change the channel to Gaijin 70 plus.
There you go. There
So
you
if you
go.
don't get kicked out,
If I don't get censored for some reason. Yeah.
yeah.
And I always joke with my Japanese friends. I always tell them, "Oh, both my mother and father lived until 95 plus." So I always say, "Kore kara mo yoroshiku onegaishimasu," which always makes them laugh. Okay. And then, okay, we steroid shots. David tells us, no, the steroid shots were discontinued about 8 years ago because of the side effects. Good move. All right. And Genzaimon says, me too. I guess that it refers to the allergy medications morning and evening. And Rich says that you can go to an allergy specialist doctor and get immunization treatment. Oh, that sounds good. I hope that's common knowledge because the poor people who suffer a lot. And BP Shogun says, I have hay fever, mostly military cedar. It goes away if I cut the carbs and do intermittent fasting. It must be mucosal inflammation and irritation calms down. Otherwise, seasonal antihistamines. Yeah, that internal inflammation is a big thing these days in talking about diet and health in the United States. And a lot of people say it's diet related, and some people do cut the carbs, intermittent fasting, as BP shows. Some people they go on to the paleo diet, I think it's called.
Mhm.
No carbs, just meat.
Like carnivore
And
diet, maybe.
a carnivore, yeah. Paleo is a little bit different, right? Paleo allows hunter-gatherer kinds of
Just
food,
eat
right?
rocks. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and eat rocks. There you go. And I've tried them all, and I'll tell you what, carnivore diet. If you want to lose weight, that's the way to lose weight.
You alternate between carnivore and vegan.
Yeah, there you go. And the carnivore diet is great for losing weight. And the first day or two, you feel real good, but then you start feeling like, yeah, I didn't like it. You get what they call the keto flu. So,
Well, I've heard of that.
okay,
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Okay, so we will see Gaijin 95 plus. I certainly hope so. But we shall, like my mother used to say, we shall see what we shall see.
But the 50 plus isn't the age; it's how long you've been here. So 95
Yeah,
plus,
actually.
you could set some records.
So it would be Gaijin 75 plus. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So, okay, here's, yeah, oh, you've got a comrade in hernia here. I've had 2 hernia surgeries. I get back cramps, which make it difficult to sit or walk for a couple of weeks. Afterwards, nothing can be done about it. Yeah, that nerve damage is that could cause nerve
Yeah, I
damage.
guess it's called impinging, or there's probably some other medical word. But I, I've
Yeah.
I've had the sore back for it feels like a year and a half now, and it's better. I go to rehab, and I guess the thing that they do is they strengthen the muscles around it, but you can never fix a flattened disc. So yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. But
yeah.
I feel for you, Dave.
Oh. Dave says no, it got cut off. I think he was disagreeing with something I said about nerve damage. So let us know, David.
Hmm.
Okay. And Steve Martin says, Kokan Setsu Steve here, all titanium. Wow. Wow. Titanium.
Kokansitsu, is that like crotch?
Artificial,
Jinko kansitsu would be
yeah,
artificial joint. Okay, all
yeah, yeah,
titanium. Okay.
yeah. Actually, my mother had that. And she came here at one time and she had one knee that was just about shot and one knee going bad. And she was, hobbling all over the place and often had to get a wheelchair and stuff like that. And people were telling her, oh, you got to get an artificial knee. And she's saying, no, I don't want to do it. And she was overweight because she couldn't move very well and having a real hard time. And she went back and somebody talked her into it. She got both of her knees replaced. And the next time she came here, she was spry and active and moving around all over the place. So I made up my mind, even though my knees are still in good shape, if I ever have that kind of problem, man, I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and she became
It,
thin because she became more
mhm.
active. Yeah, it was really
Wow.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
a virtuous cycle.
Hmm. So David Cole says it's probably because I've had too much trauma and the muscles are weak. Okay, too
Yeah,
much
they
trauma.
in my rehab, the main thing is my stomach muscles are weak, and so I'm doing like sit-ups and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that in my
Uh,
rehab.
did you do any sports that would cause trauma?
Probably that. So okay, so one problem I have is I always carry like too many books with me, or I carry too much stuff. So like people know me as the big backpack guy. So maybe that was part of my problem.
Could
And
be.
then probably sitting around all the time too. So
Backpack. That was one topic that we've talked about in the past, and wearing it in the front, wearing it in the back.
mhm,
That's when, okay, they came out this, wear your backpack in the front. And, me being want to go along kind of guy, at first I thought,
mhm,
well, I guess that's what I got to do. But the very first time I did it, as soon as I put the backpack on the front, I had some soreness in the lower back and
mhm.
I just gave up. I just took it off right away because I didn't want to ruin my back. Do you have
But
trouble?
um, I try not to ride the train too much.
Ah, there you
Um,
go. Mm.
but so the other thing is like, and maybe we can talk about this time or another time. So like putting your bag on the ground is like taboo for some Japanese people because it gets the contaminated outside, and then you're gonna take that bag and you're gonna put it down
And
on
later,
your,
later put it on your lap or something like that.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
oh no, that's
yeah,
gross.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so putting it on the ground is like for some Japanese people be like, I can't believe you just did that. That's sick.
Actually, I'm planning on someday doing a video about this kind of thing, a rant
Hmm.
video about it. And I was researching it with on. I can't remember who I was asking, but I was researching the background. Where did this advice come from? And I heard that some, I can't remember offhand, but somebody somewhere, some group did a study. And I don't know if this was a real study or if this is one of these studies because they're trying to get people to get along and go along. But they said that wearing a backpack on your stomach is ergonomically copacetic
Hmm.
when you get behind a person whose back is kind of, human back is kind of naturally bowed a little bit. So the
Hmm.
the form of the backpack fits ergonomically into the back of the person in front of you. So it was I read this and I
Well,
I I said to myself, this is
Sounds like an MC Escher painting or something like that, right?
Yeah. I just couldn't believe
Sounds
it.
Ayashi to me.
Yeah, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Mm.
Okay. All right. Steve Martin says his titanium is hip replacement. Yeah, they did a lot with that. Hip replacement is also very advanced. Jack Nicklaus, one of the greatest golfers ever to live, had a hip problem, had his hip replaced, and went out and won more golf tournaments. So Rich says, just like being pregnant, yeah, with the bag on the front. I hate that practice, bag in the front. You'll hear about it soon. Okay. Then we have man laying down exto banana. Gaijin, the nice Japanese lady I went out with, is always late, like 20 minutes to dates. Is this a red flag? Well, I don't know if I'll answer first. I don't know because I've had experience. Back in the day when I was dating my wife, when we didn't have cell phones and there was no way of knowing what happened to the person who is on the way, if they're still on the way, if they fell in front of a train, if they got sick, if they went back home, we would promise to meet at a certain place at a certain time. And she would never, ever, ever be on time. She was always late. 20 minutes? Oh, 20 minutes is pretty good as far as I was concerned back then. Sometimes she'd be an hour late. And I would get upset and make a scene and things like that. And she would look at me and say, "Oh, what are you getting so excited about?" Now, I was young at the time, as she was too. She was young and slim and quite a fox. So I cut her a lot of huss back in those days. So to me, always late 20 minutes, pretty normal. What do you say, Karl?
I guess in this day and age of text messaging and line and so forth, that you know, I think it depends. So I guess in general, like if you're going to be late, you let them know because this is Japan and everybody's supposed to be punctual. It could be like a Japan in Heisei Reiwa, everybody's on time, but in Showa it wasn't such a important thing. But the other thing is like, okay, who's usually late? So David's his next saying, is she
Yeah.
rich?
Yeah,
And my
there's a
experience is if the person thinks they're more important than you, like if you're meeting like an expensive consultant or something like that, or like a college professor, they tend to show up to class late. And sort of the more famous the professor is, the later they are to their class in Japan, traditionally. So maybe she's rich and famous, and that's why she's always late. She's more important to you.
or maybe she's just getting in, preliminary practice of putting him in his place.
Maybe she doesn't like to wait, and if she comes late, then she makes sure that you're there before she is.
Yeah. Well, does she call? I mean, now that we've got phones, cell phones, smartphones, I wonder if she calls. If she showed up late and didn't call, I don't think I'd like that very much. But
It
uh,
depends if she's as hot as your wife. So,
and if she's rich, well, cut her a lot of slack, right?
should we try another
Uh,
one of these articles?
yeah, we've got three left. You want to do the tequila?
That seems like a pretty quick one, but
Yeah,
we
that
don't
one
know.
that one doesn't take much time. Okay.
Kind of slightly gruesome, but
And kind of makes you scratch your head, doesn't it? This one. This is a little bit different. I think this is a little bit different from the one that I sent you, but it's the same. It's the
okay,
same story.
same, yeah.
A man went on trial recently in Nagoya because he allegedly made a woman drink 32 shots of tequila, allegedly with the intention of taking her back to a hotel to have sex with her. Now, this claim, made her drink. How do you make somebody drink 32 shots of tequila? And the reason I changed the article from a different one that I
Hmm.
sent Karl is because this one has additional information, which is even more unbelievable, coming up soon. So the
Hmm.
guy, in his defense in Nagoya, said, "It is true I encouraged her to drink, but I didn't have any sexual intent." She's 25. He
44.
is 44. What do you think, guys? He then took the woman to a hotel where he allegedly attended to have sex with her, but gave up when he realized she was in a serious condition. Wow. She finally died, the poor woman, of alcohol poisoning. Now, here's the part that I
Hey,
thought
hang on a
was
second. So did she
Mhm.
die the same day, or did she die like? Uh,
So June
I assume
21st.
died on the same day.
Yeah. It says she died on June 21st. On May 2nd, he made her drink,
That's bizarre.
and
That
she
she would
died
like
on
live
June
for a
23rd.
month and then die.
I don't know. I don't know. That may be an out for him, right?
That I've never heard that you die of alcohol poisoning a month after.
Yeah.
I and it doesn't. It feels. It sounds like she never recovered consciousness. So was she in a coma for
It
like a
sure
month
it,
and a
it's
half?
it sounds like it, but it doesn't really say. And
That's
here's the
hmm.
extra information. Prosecutors said he encouraged women to keep drinking tequila for 90 minutes, after which he took her to a hotel. How do you drink 32 shots of tequila in 90 minutes?
I would pass out after two shots.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I'm sure. Well, I imagine that like some people can handle like 10 shots. Uh, we don't know the details about how big these people are and so forth. Maybe Andre the Giant could handle 30 shots, but
Yeah.
it it doesn't seem rational. Um,
Nothing about this story seems rational.
I, Again, I don't know. I'm not at all involved. All I know is what's here. But uh, if it, so I doubt the guy intended to kill her. But it sure seems like what's that? Gross negligence or something like that. Um,
Well, I just checked, and it says that hypoxic encephalopathy
yeah,
means brain damage caused by a lack of oxygen.
yeah. So I checked it earlier as well. So basically, the idea is so like we think of uh, alcohol as affecting the liver and stuff like that, but as a more acute thing, basically by consuming too much alcohol, your brain doesn't get enough oxygen, and then basically your brain suffocates and dies. But it's bizarre that it would have happened 6 weeks later.
Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it? Oh.
That sounds bizarre. I can't explain or understand. Maybe our commenters. We have a bunch of smart people watching us.
They're smarter than I am, at least. I was going to say than we are, but I'll let you speak for yourself. Oh, we got MacArthur's here. Okay, let's go in. All right. Boom. So he said, did he give her all that to kill her? Who knows, right? It's such a weird story. And look, we've got MacArthur showed up. BP Shogun. Maybe she was in an alcohol coma for a while. Could be. Could be.
I'm not very familiar with alcohol comas. I can imagine people drinking so much that they die like that night, but I'm not familiar with people going into comas and presumably being in a hospital and then not recovering. But it
According
sounds gruesome all around.
According to the note here, alcohol doesn't directly starve the brain of oxygen, but alcohol poisoning, choking, respiratory depression, or cardiac arrest during heavy drinking can lead to hypoxic encephalopathy. So, but like you said, a month later, a couple of weeks, a bunch of weeks later. Okay, let's not. We won't dwell on this one.
I
Wait a
mean,
minute.
I guess I would say, like, well, sounds like somebody knows some more information.
Yeah, David Cole. She had brain damage and lingered for a while. Could be.
I mean, I guess in Japan, like when you came to Japan, and you went drinking with colleagues and customers and so forth, like getting somebody to drink more is kind of like Japanese drinking culture, right? Like actually, we've got some people from Shikoku here. I've heard that in Shikoku, maybe it's Kochi, they have sake cups that the bottom is actually round, and the point is that you can't put it down. So you have to always have it ready to have more sake in it. So
Yeah.
like drinking too much is kind of traditional Japanese drinking culture, but I'm sure that just like everywhere else, that people are uh, moving away from that.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
as
It doesn't. There's not the hardcore drinking that there. I mean, like I was down in Fukuoka too.
Mhm.
That that is not a place to be if you don't want to drink. It wasn't a place to be. But like I said, that culture is dying out, but still worse in Fukuoka than it is in Tokyo. Cheap tequila is dangerous. Can cause hypoxic ischemic. I won't even try. Brain damage due to lack of oxygen. Okay, cheap tequila. Yeah, that kind of I guess it's similar to like vodka or Zhabruvska,
I,
that white
I
alcohol.
I have to say, like there's a lot of liquors that are basically 40% alcohol, whiskey, vodka, but I have the feeling that tequila is the one that gives you, it's fun to drink with the salt and the lemon, but it is the one that gives you the worst hangover, I think, in my
Oh,
experience.
oh, okay. All
Not
right.
recent experience.
Yeah, I never was a tequila drinker. It just was too much like rubbing alcohol for me. Speaking of alcohol, speaking of alcohol, oh, I'll tell this story some other time. I should make a video about the time I. Anyway, Steve Martin says it does sound strange. I used to run the biology labs at TUJ, and one of the more popular labs was about how knowing about osmosis can help avoid hangovers. Hmm. Did I wonder?
I, I'm vaguely familiar with osmosis. I'm sure not as familiar as Steve Martin. But I did not know how it relates to avoiding hangovers. I thought you were
Yeah.
just supposed to drink ukon no chikara,
Yeah.
or,
I,
or
I
or maybe drink lots of water.
I know, of course, I know what osmosis is too, but I never heard it. To me, when I was a drinker, the go-to cure for a hangover was Coca-Cola and a McDonald's double cheeseburger.
I thought it was the hair of the dog.
Yeah. Well, it was something. I always craved McDonald's double cheeseburgers and Coke whenever I had a hangover when I was a
Okay.
drinker, long ago. Okay. And Steve, alcohol displaces water in the cell, causes dehydration,
Mm-hmm.
hence the cottonmouth of Futskayoi. Mm.
Ah.
And the lab students learned that lots of pure water the night before lessens the pain of a hangover. Okay.
So does this mean when you come back from the bar, just drink a bunch of water? Hopefully, you don't pee your bed, and then when you wake up, you'll have less of a hangover.
No, drink water before you go out drinking.
Okay.
I think that's what he meant. No? Maybe
Well,
he'll
I
tell
don't know
us.
if it was the night before the hangover or the night before the drinking.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we got two more, maybe time for one more, I would say. Maybe we got time for two more. Uh you talked about this bicycle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up.
I'm a little bit concerned about this one, actually.
All right, let's go. Let's go over to it.
Did we talk about this last week too, or maybe not?
We mentioned it some time ago.
Okay.
But it is coming up. And Steve Martin, by the way, what he said was, yes, lots of water before you go to bed after drinking. Okay, that's what
Okay.
it is. I was wrong. Okay. So Japan is going to start a new fine system for traffic violations in April. Fine system. If you don't mind, I'm going to tell a story before we go forward. I had a friend whose father was born in Puerto Rico, and he was living in Chicago. And he told a story about one time he went to the beach on Lake Michigan, and he was driving around looking for a place to park, but there were so many cars he couldn't park. So finally, he found an open spot and he parked. And he went to the beach, and when he came back, there was a cop writing him a ticket for parking. And this guy says, "Why are you writing me a ticket?" And the policeman says, "You can't park here. Can't you read what the sign says?" And he said, "Yes, it says fine for parking."
There you go.
And according to him, he swears it's a true story. The cop looked at the sign, looked at the guy, and tore up the ticket. So I don't know if that's true,
Oh,
but
nice cops.
yeah, nice cops. Yeah, Chicago
I,
cops
I,
are
th-
so.
I thought you were going to tell me how he jumped in Lake Michigan and got shocked at how cold it was. Uh,
No. Yeah. Well, did you ever go to? Well, anyway, that's something else. With
you,
traffic accidents involving cyclists rising, a new fine system for traffic offenses by cyclists will come into effect April 2026. That's the beginning of next month, and I hope they do enforce it. In Japan, many people pay fines for minor traffic offenses to avoid criminal charges. This is called the blue ticket system because the violation notices are printed on blue paper. From April, it will newly apply to cyclists age 16 and over. Offenses that they will have to pay for: using a smartphone while cycling, entering a railroad crossing when barriers are down, running a red light, riding the wrong way, riding on sidewalks, cycling while holding an umbrella, cycling while wearing earphones or headphones, cycling without a light, and riding with two on a bicycle, or riding side by side. These are the offenses that you can be fined for. Actually, I heard that most of these, especially smartphone, riding on sidewalks, holding an umbrella, earphones without a light, and riding two abreast or two on a bicycle, are already not allowed, but they haven't been enforced that strictly, or they weren't subjected to fines. Um,
I so I mean, looking at the list, it's like this is like like a list of all the things Japanese people do. It's like I can imagine people doing all of these things, and it's like that's part of high school life.
yeah,
But yeah, it's I guess most of them are not safe. So
yeah, yeah,
riding the wrong way. Yeah, I hate it when people are on the road but they're going the wrong way. It's like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And running a red light. I was right in front of the university where I teach, and I went to the convenience store to buy something, and I'm coming back, and there's a crossing, pedestrian crossing, and the light was green for the pedestrians, red for cars, and approaching the pedestrian crossing is a downhill.
Hmm.
Now, I knew that I had to hurry to get back, so I jogged out, and I didn't do a right angle from the sidewalk into the pedestrian crossing. I sort of cut in from the side, and this woman coming down the hill almost ran me down on her bicycle. And I was so surprised that I said, "Avanai," and she said, "You got to cross at the pedestrian crossing."
And how far away were you from the pedestrian crossing?
Like about 2 feet.
So whenever a car and a human I don't know about dogs, but anyway. So when a car and a pedestrian have an accident, I think like by default it's the car's fault.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
I wonder what the case is in the case of bicycles. Like when bicycles and pedestrians collide, is it by default the bicycle's fault? The
I bel
bicyclist's
I
fault?
believe it should be, but in this case, the thing that made it worse, it wasn't just a pedestrian crossing. She went through a red light, basically,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
she had no concept that she did anything wrong. She said you were wrong because you weren't in the pedestrian zebra zone or whatever they call it, and I was just going on my way somewhere.
Well, Americans like we're taught the like, well, I don't know if they teach us this in driving school, but like you never apologize, you never admit fault
Yeah,
because
yeah,
who knows.
yeah.
But maybe she had just come back from studying in the States. I don't
Yeah, and like I said, it happened right in front of my university. So there were a lot of university people, and the guards
know. Hmm.
to the entrance were there. So I couldn't give her a "Hey, I'm walking here" or anything like that, or "You ran through
Hmm.
a red light, you dumb
Broad.
woman." Yeah, yeah. So I couldn't do anything. So I just shook my head and yeah. Did I
Tried to
ever?
shake out the adrenaline.
Yeah, yeah, just being a nice guy. Did I ever tell you the difference between Canadian pedestrians and the New York pedestrians?
No, I feel a joke coming on.
New York pedestrians say, "Hey, I'm walking here," and Canadian pedestrians say, "I'm walking here." Hey. Anyway, that's the joke for this week. I hope our viewership doesn't
But
suddenly drop.
But when I visited New York and was riding with a seasoned New York City driver, there was something magical happening between the cars and the pedestrians. And this was explained to me. This is the New York Ballet, where cars, if you stop, you'll never get to go again. So cars don't really stop, and then the pedestrians they don't really stop either. But somehow some sort of magic happens and they don't hit each other. But
Yeah,
if one of them is a novice, then that causes so like
yeah,
the pedestrians know what the cars are going to do and the cars know what the pedestrians are going to do, and they just somehow don't hit each other and they keep flowing.
yeah,
But it seemed really dangerous for me as a non-native to that system.
yeah. Well, in Japan,
Mm.
enough of my corny jokes. When cyclists use the sidewalk, police officers would typically issue a guidance and warning rather than a ticket. I bet that this doesn't work. However, a ticket may be issued in cases where the bicycle is moving quickly and either startles pedestrians or forces them to stop, or when cyclists continue to ride on the sidewalk after a police officer has issued a warning. The introduction of fines corresponds with the increase in complaints about cyclists who do not follow traffic rules, such as those who are looking at their smartphones, wearing earphones, riding on the wrong side of the street, or ignoring traffic signals. Okay, we won't go into this. This is some data about bicycle accidents and things like that. As a pedestrian, I would like to say I think they should bring back samurai swords to deal with bicyclists. Yeah, it can be very dangerous walking on the crowded sidewalk, I think. And cyclists expect pedestrians to jump out of the way. They don't expect them to. They don't expect that they have to do anything. Okay. Steve Martin, what happened there?
Maybe
Okay,
this is the way that the new administration is going to fund all of the tax cuts.
could be. So Steve Martin says, I can see all kinds of fines escalating in the near future thanks to flock cameras. On May 5th, Takaichi had a private meeting with Peter Thiel, head of Palantir. That's one of your
Steve
favorite
Steve
topics.
loves Palantir.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, I wonder, I mean, there are a lot of cameras around Tokyo already. I mean, Jesus. So
So
David Cole says,
oh, I was going to say, presumably, I've never heard of flock cameras before, but
no, I
presumably
don't
this
either.
is like
I don't
they
either.
identify. I've heard, like, for example, in China, then like they can identify you, and then like you get a message on your phone saying you've just been fined for crossing the against the light, 2,000
Yeah,
yen.
the social credit score, right?
Hmm.
Like we talked about the Yakuza who can't go to baseball games,
Hmm.
can't get
I
a
wonder
cell
if I wonder if
phone,
there's
and
any Yakuza watching Japan versus Korea.
yeah, who knows, right? Who knows? But David Cole says no problem for us. We all look younger than 16. I agree
Mhm.
for some reason. That's one thing I keep saying to my wife. It's really weird. Everybody around me is getting older. I'm the only one who's not. Now, fines for walking and chewing gum at the same time. The Singapore nanny state, Steve Martin says. Yeah, could be where we're headed. Rich says, I'll bet actual money that Okinawa police ignore these laws. They already ignore lots of Japanese laws. Could be. Japanese police everywhere ignore a lot of laws. And Rich says, how about fines for walking your bull along the road? Maybe that happens in Okinawa. I've never seen a bull walking along the road here in Tokyo. Yeah, the things about bicycles are horrible, and I'll tell you, I'm always talking about Fukuoka, and I'll say once again, Fukuoka, it's much, much, much worse. I had walking in the street in Fukuoka. I had my experiences where I mean, literally doing a dance to jump out of the way of bicycles that go screaming down the street. Karl, were you here when the bicycles used to come up behind you and ring the bell? Zing, 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 zing.
I guess I can imagine that. I can't like think of specific instances, but yeah, if you're walking, then and you're in the way and there's no way around you, then yeah, sure, they'll ring the bell.
Yeah.
I guess one of my pet peeves about bicycle, so like I guess the whole reason for these new fines is that bicycles are kind of in between pedestrians and uh, like motorized vehicles. And I think officially they're really supposed to be with the motorized vehicles, but for various reasons they tend to be with the on the sidewalk. But there are people who are in both places now. But I guess one of the things that I sometimes see and I go like, you can't do that, is be like the person will be going along the road, and then like there's a red light, so they conveniently they transform into pedestrian mode, and then they do whatever the pedestrians do, and then they go back to the vehicle mode. Um, and like if there's a stop sign or a red light, I not all the ways, but a lot of times the the bicyclist is like, I'm a pedestrian, that doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I guess, I guess you don't need a license for a bicycle. So like where the foreigners who hadn't gone through the Japanese system didn't obey the laws, well, the Japanese bicyclists, a lot of them haven't gone through the system, so maybe they don't know the laws either. So yeah, they just don't care.
Yeah. Did I talk about this last time? I remember talking about it somewhere about how bicyclists used to be restricted to just riding on the road originally after World War II. And then Japan started prioritizing economic development, and the bicycles were getting in the way of motorized vehicles. So the government forced the bicycles off the roads so motorized vehicles could pass more easily. And so that drove the cyclists onto the sidewalk, and we have what we have today. And now
Hmm.
the opposite is occurring. So this is a problem that's been going on for I mean, a struggle that's been going on for quite a
Just
while.
move all the buildings 2 meters back and create bicycle lanes. That's the
Yeah.
easy solution.
But whenever Japan starts passing laws and they say that the police are gonna enforce them, I often wonder, oh, really? Because Remember when they said they're going to crack down on illegal parking, especially around the station and things like that? And the
Hmm.
police went crazy for about a month and were towing away vehicles, and now not so much. So I wonder if this is just going to be like one of these 1 month campaigns that slowly peters
We'll
out.
find out.
We will find out. Okay.
But I guess I'm a
Um,
little bit concerned about up to 16. Apparently, the kids aren't going to get fined for driving, riding their bicycles on the sidewalk. And I would say for let's say elementary school kids, I would I would rather for their safety, I'd rather have them on the sidewalk. But what about the 75 year olds who don't have a car anymore? So now they're riding their tricycle. Should they be riding their tricycle in the road? And like I guess a negative thing, like from a driver with bicycles in the road, it's like you can't pass, and then now you're stuck going 10 kilometers an hour. That's not ideal. And if I try to pass even when there's really not enough room, I could hit somebody. I guess I'm not saying me, I'm just saying like the person in the car who wants to pass the bicycle who's in the road going way slower than the speed limit. I don't think, I think it's going to give new problems in place of old
yeah.
problems. I don't think it's going to solve all the problems.
And don't forget that they'll be sharing that bicycle lane along the side of the road with kick scooters.
Hmm.
And kick
I,
scooters can go as fast as can go pretty good clip, right?
are you talking about like the loop and stuff like that?
The electric scooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
don't what
I think mopeds are supposed to go 30 kilometers or less, regardless of what the speed limit is. So 50 cc gasoline ones. And then I saw recently, there's like electrical bicycles are must be pedal assist. So the standard ones that you don't need a license for. And I don't think there's a speed limit on them. But there's another kind of electric bicycle where you can just go by turning the throttle. And I think those are limited to 20. But again, 20 on a road that's like 40 or 50 kilometers an hour, that's kind of getting in the way too. So,
but I mean, like, if you've got an old person or an
mhm,
Oksan going out to do her shopping and stuff like that,
mhm.
they'll be getting in the way of the
Oh
slow
yeah,
electric. Yeah, so it's
uh,
gonna. Yeah,
it's going to be messy. So,
yeah, yeah. Outlaw bicycles. That's what we should do. If I was king. Uh, okay. Steve gives us some good information here. David Cole. Okay. Says, first of all, that was the worst thing about teaching. The students never got older, only me. Yep. I feel your pain. And Steve Martin says Ben Jordan has a popular YouTube channel now covering the dirty money of flock cameras and the emerging surveillance state. Okay, that looks like something to watch, huh? Ben Jordan.
no, it'll be watching you.
Ha ha. Yeah, you better start watching him before he starts watching you. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm looking for my pencil case, which I seem to have put somewhere where I wouldn't forget where I put it. So anyway, I'll look for this later. All right. Is an electric scooter a vehicle? How about a person carrying a bike? Yeah, there's that too. Rich asks that. Person carrying a bike
my,
in a
my,
bag.
my feeling is that if you're pushing your bike, you're a pedestrian. So
Yeah.
like if you get off your bike and you push it, that's one thing. But if you're like continuing to ride it, then you're a vehicle.
Do you know? I'll tell you something that I saw in Fukuoka. And the downtown area is called Tenjin.
Hmm.
And in Tenjin, there are a lot of big department stores, and the sidewalks are very wide. There's the subway is out there. It's a main place, and according to Japanese law, If you're on a crowded sidewalk in a downtown area, by law, you're supposed to get off your bike and walk it. And this big major department store had guards in front of their department store who would grab people riding their bicycles in front of the department store and make them get off and walk their bicycles.
Must have
I
been a
thought,
fun job.
yeah, I thought that was pretty gutsy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't stop the wrong kind of person, huh? All right. Rich says, why do people in Japan dress in almost black while walking at night? There should be a fine for that. Agreed. Why do Japanese people always dress in black, gray, or navy blue with white all the time? I look into a major business suit store, and they've got a big display of all kinds of stuff. How do you shop in a place like that? It all looks the same. They're like three colors. It's so weird. But anyway, let's not do.
But I totally agree with Rich, because like if a person's wearing black and they're walking on the side of the road, it's like you don't really notice them until you're closer than you would like to be. I've never hit anybody like that, but if they were wearing like a reflective sash or something like that, I would feel that that's much safer for them. Like they would be incentivized to wear something like that. Sometimes
Yeah.
little kids have like shoes that like spark and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and sometimes they have like this collars around dogs and stuff like that too. So.
Yeah. Well, you can buy battery powered blinkers. I used to do that when I was running it. I used to run at night, and I had a thing I'd put on my back. Beep beep. You know.
Have one with like the arrow going like go around, idiot, go around.
There you go. Wide load. So you can ride on the road, stop at the red light, get off your bike, and walk across the intersection in the crosswalk.
I've seen people do that. Yeah.
I've seen people do that with motorcycles too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen like couriers do that with motorcycles. Yeah.
Steve Martin says, yep, a lot of eyes are on us now. As of this year, all new American cars have an automatic no start on detecting alcohol. I found out today that every Japanese car has many MAC
MAC.
addresses.
So a MAC address that's like an internet or some sort of ID. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There's a big, I guess a lot of Tesla owners got angry recently because they changed to a subscription model too, right?
For full self-driving, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens if you don't pay your subscription? Your car won't start, or is that it?
So Tesla, yes, that totally happened. But there's a lot of cars like you have heated seats in your car, but it's a subscription, so you have to pay $15 a month to use the things that are in your car. That's not just Tesla. That's like BMW and Mercedes and Toyota
And if
General
you don't,
Motors.
and if you don't pay your subscription, they make the seat really hot and burn your butt.
They put you in the hot seat. Yeah.
Put you in the hot seat. There you go. Okay. Nowhere to run, baby. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Right?
Maybe Okinawa.
What's that old Temptation song? Ball of Confusion, right?
I know the Temptations, but I don't know Ball of Confusion.
Yeah. Listen to it. It's quite a song. It's quite a
Yeah.
good song. Yeah. Little bit of hardcore protest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Panic in the air, people running everywhere. Ball of confusion. Okay. Why carbon taxes and no silicon taxes on the AI data centers? Follow the money. Yeah.
So Steve is talking about lots of non-Japan related topics, but I've heard that like AI is like the calculations for AI is using like 50% of the energy in the United States or something. It's like, okay, global warming, forget that. And because there's not enough renewables, it's just running off of generators and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, and in the United States, there's a big problem, a big controversy. People are getting mad because a data center will open in their local area and it drives up electricity rates for everybody. because of the usage in the area goes so high, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you notice this push about global warming and fossil fuels has boop, disappeared.
Yeah. Okay. So it's, there's a concern that the supply of oil and natural gas is going to be uh, hampered, let's say, in the coming months and maybe for a while. It would be ironic if that's what slowed down uh, greenhouse gas emissions. But it
Hmm.
won't be fun if that happens.
Yeah,
So we'll see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Hey, you left your most serious one till the end. You had made a short video about it the other day. Um,
yeah, yeah.
do we want to talk about that, or are we going to do that for next time?
Let me go. We'll mention it at the end, and let me go through the final comments here, right?
Okay.
Steve Martin, Ball of Confusion. Yeah, good song, right? Korea intentionally walked Otani with a runner on third, and it came back to bite them. They walked the next two batters out. Japan 85. Good plan. Okay, Steve Martin says Japan related. The AI centers going up all over Japan. Hokkaido is a hot spot. Didn't know that. Didn't
It's
know that.
hot because it's cold.
There you go. And both Japan and America can exercise the law of eminent domain to move private land to big data. Yeah, the law of eminent domain. That's such an abused law, the application of that law. Yes, because of the Hormuz Strait, I was out buying coffee and toilet paper today. Good, maybe a good move. Who knows? I just installed a solar power system in my house, and my electricity cost has dropped to near zero. Rich tells us. That's why you're rich, huh?
But in
Uh,
Okinawa, so yeah.
yeah, yeah. And Okinawa is a good place to have solar power, isn't it? Okay. And David Cole says global warming thing hasn't gone away in Japan. Every company is making green commercials. I think they just haven't caught up with
Old
everybody else
messaging.
yet. Yeah. Okay, let's do one more, and this is one I'd like to cover it too because I did a video recently that I know everybody has already seen. You know,
Did you get a bunch of
but
views?
yeah, about the Yakuza. And this is something, the reason I did this is, oh, wrong one.
No, no, I think that was it. Need
Oh,
to
it
review
is.
foreign
Okay.
policies.
Sorry, it
It's
is the
not about
right one.
Yakuza. Yeah.
Sorry. I wanted to go straight into Yakuza, and I didn't see Yakuza in the title, and I thought it was the wrong one. Now, one of the reasons I did this was because it's interesting about Yakuza's not being able to do all this kind of stuff. I mean, in the countries we come from, I don't think the government could ever get away with such a thing. However, um, that said, I started thinking after I read this of how this could be so abused by the government. For example, if it works so well against Yakuza, it could work against anybody, including gaijins like us, right? And so the Japanese Justice Minister Hiroshi Hiraguchi said that the government must review policies related to foreign nationals amid a surge in the number of foreigners in the country. And he said that the situation is direr compared, I have to be careful, that's such a hard word to say, direr, compared with when he was state minister of justice from 2018 to 2019. I read in another article that this is a translation of what he said. And actually, he said that the Japanese government has their backs up against the wall and they have to act now or before it's too late. And he said, we will work to optimize various systems that were not based on the premise that many foreigners would reside in the country, such as immigration and residency management systems, the minister said. And he said that proposed policy of giving legal validity to the use of maiden names will further And I don't know why this was tied in. I don't know of any gaijins complaining about the use of maiden names, unless I missed something. And then also they said they're going to review the country's retrial system. And this is where when a person is declared innocent, the prosecutor can appeal and get a guilty verdict from another court, which is, of course, very strange in our countries. But he said they want to revise the code of criminal procedure and that the bill will be based on a report by the Legislative Council, an advisory body to the Justice Minister, which called for continuing to allow public prosecutors to file appeals against courts' decisions to start retrials. Okay, so that's a quick rundown. I did that really quickly since we're running late as usual. What do you think, people?
So these two things that were mentioned in the article sound like they're positive things for foreigners living in Japan. Is that correct understanding?
They were saying that the use of they're trying to say that the use of maiden names would be a positive things for this retrial system. Sounds like a negative all the way around. So I don't know why this was thrown in, but they say that they have to. Another report that I read said that they have to totally rebuild, not improve, not modify, totally rebuild the immigration system of Japan, because the current system was not designed to handle people who came over here and live permanently. The original system was designed for people who would come in here and leave. So they were saying that they have to totally redo the immigration system.
Well, commentary on the LDP. So the LDP has it seems like they have this policy of avoiding the word immigration. And then whenever somebody else says, well, immigration policy, they'll say, no, it's not immigration. It's, we have people come to work and then they go. And a personal, very short story is I was working for a local town in Hiroshima, and in those days, there weren't foreigners coming to work in Japan for working for labor, but they had a system where Nikkeijin. So if you had a Japanese ancestor and you could document it, you could come and you could work kind of like the current workers come to Japan now. And so I went to the Ministry of Justice with one of these families, and they were trying to get Japanese citizenship. And the long and the short of it was and I was doing the interpreting. The person for the Ministry of Justice said, Japan is, because I'm American, this guy was not American, but Japan is not a country that basically, it's not a country of immigrants. It's not a country that is designed for accepting immigrants. So you might be trying to do something, but our system isn't set up that way. So that's exactly what it says in this article, and I have no reason to doubt it. So you and I, who basically we kind of immigrated here, that's not. I can understand that Japan isn't. Their systems aren't set up to accommodate people like us.
Yeah, and it's true. That's why so many people who came here with ulterior motives or bad motives were so successful, because there was no way to get rid of them.
You're talking about people like gaming the system, or
no, I'm talking about the Chinese, basically. Who came here and started buying land near sensitive places, and buying real estate downtown, driving up the prices, and there was nothing that the government could do about that, right?
I guess Japanese people can buy American stocks, stock in American companies. Um, but it feels weird that people who don't live in a country can buy property in that country. Um, so, but I don't know how normal that is around the world, or if that's like a rare thing.
Well,
But
it was practiced in the United States too, but there's been some pushback about that too. They're trying to change the
mm,
legislation in the United States. Um, because it seems strange to have big Chinese companies buying up farmland, or even big
mhm.
American companies buying up farmland. Uh, Bill Gates is one of the people who's doing some questionable things about buying land. BlackRock also, but
Mhm.
the Chinese people abused the entrepreneur visa thing.
That's been in the news a
I'm
lot
not saying the Chinese
recently.
did. It was some foreigners did, and more than half of them were Chinese people. I
Mhm.
should clarify what I'm saying. Well, what I'm saying sounds terrible, but
Wh-
I know that there are some intelligence gathering bases
mhm.
run by the Japanese self-defense forces, and the area around those bases has been all bought up by Chinese people. Now, maybe just Chinese people like the land, who knows? But there are questions to be asked that should have been asked.
I, I've heard one of the is well, it's serious for the people involved, but they changed the capital requirement from 5 million yen to 30 million yen. They added additional requirements to hire people who speak Japanese who are not here on an entrepreneur visa but are either a permanent resident or Japanese national, and pay them a salary. But so I've heard that um, there's the article I saw was particularly Nepalese are have lots of Indian restaurants. I guess we're more used to Indian curry than Nepalese curry, but a lot of them are actually from Nepal. And so the prediction was that there's going to be a lot fewer Indian restaurants in the coming years because the people who are on these business manager visas aren't going to be able to meet the new requirements, and they're just going to have to go. Now, if I was that person and I sort of had it planned out and I was planning to be here, and I've been here for like 10 years, and now the new requirements mean I can't stay here anymore. Those people they're at a big disadvantage when they go home because they haven't spent that 10 years building up
Yeah.
a business network and building skills. So it's like getting booted out and, like tough luck. I can I can imagine that the people who find themselves in that situation are going to be bitter about it. Not that there's anything you could do about it, but yeah, this is going to be a shock to a lot of people, I guess.
Yeah. It is unfair on a human level, Yeah, but I
I
think
mean,
Japan is kind of a little bit panicking now. You know.
yeah, and maybe things will, like right now, it's like, well, it could be this, it could be this. Like I think the extreme case is you get a traffic violation and you can't renew your visa, and you have to, like, oh, no, you're a criminal. Um, that seems quite extreme, but uh, as the one article that you had mentioned about the guys, like, you have no right to be here. This is a privilege for you. So if we don't want you here, you have to leave unless you're Japanese citizen. And that's something that probably a lot of people haven't been thinking. I haven't committed any crimes in all the years that I've been here, so I should be fine. But it compared with before this change happened, it feels a little bit more like the sword of Damocles is like hanging out, like not so far away. Um, so you got to keep on your toes and hope those flock cameras don't catch me jaywalking or something like that. And it's like, ah, you jaywalked. Okay, back you go. Because I
Mhm.
don't have my network built up in the States to like land and have a smooth landing over there. So
Yeah, yeah.
what's everybody
Maybe.
saying? What's in the
All right,
comments?
very, very
Oh,
quickly. The surveillance state will work against everybody, not just Gaijin or Will's ghost. Yes, that's true. Not Ghost in the Shell. I don't know what that means. Do you know?
there's a anime and the movie Ghost in the
Okay.
Shell.
All right.
It's related to AI.
I'm not a manga or anime guy. The Japanese are watching what's happening with immigration to other countries, and they don't want it happening here, which is true.
Hmm.
What else can you say? I wish we could make a koseki with our own names, David Cole says. Yeah, some of that stuff is I shouldn't say confusing, but hard to understand. Steve Martin says foreigners and other threats to public safety and harmony will be used as an excuse for the same kind of mass surveillance that Snowden and Assange pointed to in the U.S. Yeah, yes, they were the ones that blew the whistle, and look what happened to them. Poor guys. Anyway. New Zealand allows rich foreigners, Steve Martin says, to buy land. Now, New Zealand and Hawaii, the choice of bug out spots for the filthy rich. Okay. All right. Yeah. David Cole says, you can make a kosekiton in your name if you start a family. Yeah, I thought I heard about that. I thought I read something about that. I don't know in detail, so I didn't respond to the previous one. Do you know about that, Karl? Koseki Tohon? I heard they
I
had. Hmm.
so when I first got familiar with all this stuff, I think that as a foreigner, and this may have changed, but as a foreigner, let's say I got married, I would be listed on my wife's koseki, but as a foreigner, I wouldn't have my own koseki.
Okay.
But
Maybe that's
it
it.
it might have changed.
All right. JB on 7.
Seven
JB
EE.
7EE or Nana-E. I don't know. I fully agree that a rebuild is necessary. Recently, they tried to replicate systems from Europe, but the approach has proven ineffective as it relies on models that have already shown their limitation. Yeah. Europe is a really bad model to follow, it seems. Yeah. Okay. AI says no, a foreign national cannot create or have their own koseki tohon Japanese family register because it is strictly for Japanese citizens, acting as a proof of citizenship. Okay. In Okinawa, you cannot buy land or rent within a distance of military bases and other sensitive facilities if you are a foreign citizen. This may be true for all of Japan. I heard that up in Chitose there was a problem because of the land being bought up around a sensitive military facility, and also, yeah, I've read just recently. I saw a news story about that. Okinawa may be different because the U.S. presence is so strong there. But I don't know. I can't swear that that's true. David Cole says foreigners cannot be listed as members of a koseki, though they may be listed as a spouse or parent on a Japanese national's koseki.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the fact that this person is married to this person is listed, but that person isn't a quote unquote person
Okay.
in terms of how the Koseki sees it. That's
Oh,
my understanding.
okay. Back
Did you miss
to
one? Yeah. Hmm.
Rich. David Cole. David, not true. I have my own koseki ton. I am head of a household, and my Japanese wife is listed as a member of the family. Okay, maybe
Okay.
this is going to take some looking into. I heard
Oh,
that something changed, but I don't
yeah.
know.
I heard that something changed, and I can't tell you exactly what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would
Uh,
say 30 years ago, Gaijin
no.
didn't have their. You could not get a koseki. So at some
back
point, that statement was true.
back when I wanted to stay, first decided I wanted to stay in Japan for the long term, I was told, give it up. Nobody can do it. It's
Hmm.
impossible. And so Japan does change. It does
Well,
lighten up a little bit. Yeah.
before the 1980s, then if it was a foreign man and a Japanese woman, their children did not have Japanese citizenship. Only the Japanese men could, ironically, I guess, give
Yeah.
their citizenship to their children.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's good that it's changed.
Here's another thing. I don't know if you know this about citizenship, American citizenship. My son, my one son, went to college in the United States. So he spent
Hmm.
some time in the United States. When
Hmm.
he had a daughter, his daughter was able to get American citizenship and Japanese citizenship, and she will be able to choose which one she wants to keep in the future. My second son didn't go to college in the United States, didn't spend considerable time in the United States, though he was an American citizen. His son couldn't get American citizenship.
Transmission. Um,
Yeah,
so there's the rule is, as far as I understand, you have to have spent it's either 10 or 16 years. So an American citizen who has a child overseas, in order for them to be able to transmit their American citizenship to their child, they have to have spent a certain number of years in the
yeah,
United States, and it's
yeah,
like 10 or 16. So
yeah,
if your kids grew up here and their kids were not born in the States, then so if somebody who's an American citizen and hasn't spent much time in the US, but if they go back to the States and if they have the child in the States, then that child gets American citizenship. But if all this happens overseas, then like American citizenship ceases to be transmitted to the next generation.
then how would the Japanese government
Mm-hmm.
view his son?
So your point is, uh, as an American married to Japanese under the pre 1982 law, then the Japanese woman couldn't give citizenship to her son. That's an interesting question. There are people who don't have citizenship. I think life is
Yeah, yeah,
pretty difficult for those people,
yeah, yeah.
at least on this paperwork level. But maybe that's the thing that falls through the cracks. But just from an academic point of view, that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, actually, he changed his citizenship to Japanese, so it's a moot question. But
Hmm.
if he hadn't, what would have happened? Okay, just a couple more topics, and I think we'll
Sure.
call it a day. Rich says we are also listed with separate last names. Yeah, I never understand that. I never understood that issue. It appears in the news a lot, but I was always, is that an issue? Do people talk?
That's been an issue since for 30 years because they were talking about that 30 years ago.
Right, right. Steve Martin says right of blood and right of the soil. There you go. That's the difference, right? And Steve Martin says different legal systems. And Steve Martin says, but most law now pretty much serving concentrations of wealth. Yeah, it sure seems that way, doesn't it? The I don't know. Things around the world seems like the enforcement of laws seems to be changing. So, okay. Well,
You know the golden rule, right?
what's that?
The one with the gold makes the rules.
Yeah, the one with the gold. Yeah, give them an inch and they think they're the ruler.
I've heard that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I could go on like this all night, but if I did, I think Karl would never talk to me again. But So, any final score on the baseball game?
Yeah, who won? Who won?
Yeah,
I've been doing this live stream. I haven't been able to catch the game.
yeah. All these big events are always interfering with our live stream, right? Trump's State of the Union, World War III, now a baseball game. It's terrible, you know. Okay, looks like we're not going to get an answer yet. I guess we can all look it up. So I want to say
Sure.
thank you to all the people who joined us here today. I think we had as usual, had a real good give and take. I hope you like this kind of style. I enjoy the hell out of it. We
It's
go
eight
off on
six and
tangents.
it's 8-6 and 8th apparently. Thanks
Japan
to
is
David
up.
Cole. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty late for a two-run lead. They might have it then. But in baseball, as Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over. So I know Karl likes my Yogi Berra quotes, but
He must have been a Zen monk because
oh yeah, he was quite a
he
guy.
same kind of statements.
Yeah. Steve Martin
See,
warns us, prep for the oil shortage. Lots of toilet paper and coffee. Yeah. Okay.
coffee's already so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I will be back here solo on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. to make it more easily attendable for our people in the land of the big PX. And I look forward to seeing you there, Karl.
Yeah, thanks everybody for all your comments. It really helps us keep going and makes it more interesting for us. So looking forward to seeing you guys again next week.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the great
See you.
conversation. Bye.
Bye.